So you are seeing a little bit of appetite there already, Steve.
Tom Hullick is the CEO and managing partner at Strategy Asset Managers and joins us now. Tom, I love reading your notes, actually. Let me ask you a really basic question that a lot of people are asking. Do you think the two very strong characters and personalities, let me put it that way, that are Trump and Musk, can stay in cohabitation for long enough for Musk to make a meaningful impression on government spending?
Thank you for having me again. Nice to see you, Steve. Two personalities can't drive a government, and we've all seen that in the United States for years, but it will be one person in particular that will continue to drive the growth opportunity. So whether it's Elon Musk talking to Trump in his ear or to the cabinet members, or it's Trump dictating the terms of where the economy should be going to the cabinet members, I do think that we're going to see explosive growth in the United States, and it may last for decades to come.
Can I ask you a question? Tom, how many jobs have you got?
How many jobs have I had?
Yeah, I've got now. I've got one job, and I'm okay at it, but I've got one job.
I see where you're going with this. You're right. I've got one job, and I think I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah,
so.
I bet you are pretty good at your job as well. Do you think if you had 5 or 6 jobs, you'd be anywhere near as effective?
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, and that's my point. Your comments are absolutely right. Elon Musk is without doubt one of the most successful businessmen in the history of the world. Your words, not mine. And I agree with you. I'm not going to dare to contend that. But he's only one guy, and surely the owners and the poor banks who are stuck with all that Twitter debt wanting to concentrate there, or the Tesla holders who's got the most vicious competitive environment wanting to concentrate there. And the same goes for XAI or SpaceX or Boring Company or what have you. I just don't see how he can do it all.
Well, you try to surround yourself as a CEO or the president of the United States, for that matter, with very smart people. And I think that Trump, for example, if we're talking about Trump, is surrounding himself with the best people that he thinks is going to take the United States as well as lead the global initiative for growth in the future. So I think he's put some good people in front of himself. And Elon Musk is sure a brilliant guy. We've talked about him on past programs, if you remember, and we talked about the book. And this is a guy that launched a spacecraft and then it landed it on a pad. And our federal government is having problems getting out of its own way. So I like Trump, and I like Elon Musk. So.
Tom, let me push you on to a couple of stocks. It is Walmart that we're all closely eyeing, not just Nvidia as well. We were quite astounded by the market share, and we were digging into this yesterday. 95% of Americans shopping at Walmart. Just talk to us about the prospects for a company that already has such large market share.
Well, the earnings were extremely positive, growing 10% year over year in the recent quarter. And this was driven by strong consumer spending as well as the market share gains by competitors like Target. So, Walmart's growth is going to be derived from customers earning more than $100,000 per year. We see that, and traditionally it's been associated with low-income customers, but not anymore. So revenue growth right now was strong across both grocery and general merchandise. And if you look at the holiday season, and I was in London a couple of weeks ago, the consumer is still spending, and we could see an extremely positive outlook for the holiday season. And Walmart's going to benefit.
That said, it is the holiday season that is all important as we take stock of that. And Amazon is going into, we're trying to launch some sort of $20 site so it can take on some of the cheaper competitors, the likes of Temu and Shein. Does any of this touch the sides of Walmart?
Walmart is big in the AI initiative and trying to read what the consumer is wanting to do, but also becoming very efficiency in the way it distributes merchandise. I don't want to bet against Walmart. We've owned Walmart for several quarters, and it's been one of our biggest winners in the portfolio.
Let's move on to GLP-1 drugs, because there are two stocks you see off the back of it. One around athleisure, sport, two around the actual exposure to the drug itself. Just what is left in the trade? Because we've been looking at the amount of people adopting these sort of treatments, trying to take off some weight, changing their life. But we also wonder what the consequences are from using these drugs. So what do you think they are?
Well, if you don't know anybody that is on one of the GLP drugs, you eventually will. And it's changing the landscape for people from a healthcare perspective as well as just appearance alone. So I think there's a lot more room for the GLP drugs in particular because, one, it's a health consideration. And then also, if you carry it over into the fitness area in Athleta or Lululemon or Dick's Sporting Goods, which we're an owner of Dick's Sporting Goods, there are going to be benefits across the board. I think there's a lot more room to go in the GLP drugs.
The negative consequences, Tom, because we keep hearing about it, and we all do know, I think, someone who's taken it, and you see that the diet for some of them hasn't changed, and you wonder whether you just go from one negative outcome in terms of some sort of a disease down the track to another. How do you think about some sort of blowback from these drugs down the track? Is there a risk of that?
Oh, there's always a risk with any drug. And but I don't think we know what the eventual outcome is after being on the GLP drugs for many years. But these drugs have been around for a couple of decades. And the consumer right now is not only taking it for diabetic purposes, but for weight loss. The FDA would not release a drug if it was unsafe for the public. But I do think that the benefits outweigh the negatives on this sector.
Of course, I remember you telling me about the Dick's Sporting Goods analogy, and I really like what you were saying there. I don't think you need to go back on that same scenario. But Constellation Energy Group as well. I am fascinated by what happens next in terms of energy in the States. I've heard two great arguments. One, that renewables will continue to be prevalent because the states will carry on and corporations and individuals will still want it. Or two, the federal government will put the kibosh on that and actually it's going to be a lot more difficult. Tell me about one of your interesting energy picks.
Well, we've benefited a lot off of Constellation Energy Group, and in the past we've been talking to clients about this for well over a year, and it's the big beneficiary right now of the Inflation Reduction Act in the United States, which is going to provide inflation-protected government subsidies to the company in case of electricity prices falling below their cost of production. So if you've got to put by the federal government behind it, we're going to probably invest in something that we know that we can benefit from. But if electricity prices are low, the company's going to be reimbursed by the government. But if prices are high, the shareholders were going to still be able to reap the benefits of it. Nuclear power is not going away, and it's absolutely essential for any nation right now looking to achieve its emission reduction goals or implement AI at a large scale.
Tom, wise words. One more finally. Let's go right back to where we started about the politics as well. Do you think Chris Wright, if he does get the job of energy secretary and he gets through Congress and what have you, do you think he's going to be drill baby drill? In which case, does that have price ramifications?
I'm not quite sure what Chris would be doing, but I know that energy independence is critical for any nation alone, let alone the United States. So, we have a lot of natural resources. The United States is flush with oil. We've got liquid natural gas. It's helpful for us to be a net exporter as we are. I think that we should open up the pipelines and get back to energy independence even more so than we were in previous administrations or in the Biden administration. But I hope he does.
Yeah. Fascinating. Tom, I really love our conversations. And by the way, I reckon you're probably very good at the job you do. You don't need another one as well. Nice to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Tom Hullick, who is the CEO and Managing Partner of Strategy Asset Managers.